Good evening everybody, Levi Clay here, and I'm back again to do another Q&A video, a short one for you, on the subject of perfect pitch and also notating instruments that aren't guitar and fingerings when you do them for guitar. Great questions, so I'll take a look at those in a second. Just thought I'd let you know that this video has obviously been brought to you by my wonderful supporters on patreon.com. You can find a link to my Patreon page below in the description, and if you want to head on over there and support me with as little as $1, you'll get access to my private Facebook group where you get access to our transcription challenges and things like that, one-to-one video work with me on improving your transcribing skills, also just constant conversation and laughs, because transcription is something that people laugh about all the time. If you don't want to support me on Patreon, that's also fine. These videos are always going to be free. All I would ask is that you hit the like button, leave me a comment, and hit the subscribe button, which I'm sure you can find yourself. So let's take a look at these questions and I will answer them. So the first question down here, from what's that, Rootfella D34, just one question: do you have perfect pitch? You can see my answer, not even nearly. No, I don't have perfect pitch, not even close to perfect pitch. Over a long period of time I've developed pretty decent relative pitch, but even then it's not perfect relative pitch. Generally speaking though, if I'm working on something on the guitar and I'm transcribing, for example, because this comes from the Pat Martino video I did, where you could see that I was transcribing this jazz zone and I wasn't using the guitar. But what you can see that I'm doing is I'm singing. I sing the phrase, and when I can sing a phrase I can play it on the guitar because I've spent so long singing everything I play on the guitar. And more importantly than that, when I pick up a guitar, let's just do that. This isn't a perfect pitch thing, but if I play a note, I don't know if you can hear that there. Hopefully you can. That's a D. Ba. Now I can hear my intervals around that. So if I hear ba ba, that's a fifth. Ba 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 ba, the fourth. Ba ba, the third. If I pick any note, that is essentially going to be the case no matter what I'm working on. So if I hear a phrase that goes ba 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 ba, it's instinctive, but I can hear the note jumping down and how far it jumps down. Ba 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 ba. Brahms Lullaby, minor third. I'm hearing the intervals, and that's really all there is to it. So when I hear a phrase that does something, I've played that a million times, so if I hear someone play that and I need to write it out, I can imagine pretty accurately how I would play that on the guitar. So I know I don't have perfect pitch, but I have pretty good relative pitch. And the subject of perfect pitch is a long and complicated one. People will tell you different things about it. I know some people with perfect pitch. Some people think that it's excellent. Other people think that it's a massive curse. But if you have true perfect pitch, whereby you hear things at fixed pitch and you have associated colours or words with those things, synesthesia, when you listen to correct period Baroque music where things aren't tuned to A440, everything sounds a little bit weird. When you hear things, this is a fascinating subject for me actually, when somebody who has perfect pitch learns a song, and I'm not saying always this is the way it works, but if they learn something like Misty, someone with perfect pitch learns Misty, right? Get the idea, right? That's Misty, and I'm playing that in a given key. Now, if I said, as a singer, I can't sing the melody to Misty in that key. Ba 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 ba. If I struggle in that key, as I do, I might say, well, can we move it down a tone? Ba ba ba. It's too high for me. Ba 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 ba. No, I can't. That's even lower for me. The point is, when somebody with perfect pitch attempts to do something like that, it's not easy to do that because they've learned each chord as its own colour and its own name. There's not this ability to just instantly transpose something, whereas I'm able to just transpose that without really much thought, because I can just think of it as being, the given chord movements. We've got a major 7 chord, then you move down a 4th and play a minor 7 chord, back up to your original chord, dominant 7 chord, which resolves 5-1 down 5th to your tonic position, which switches to minor and then moves up a 4th to a dominant 7 chord, which then moves back up a tone to your original major 7 chord, down to the 6, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. It's a common chord progression, and to my ears I can do that in any given key. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's look at the second one, which I thought was another interesting one. So where is it? Matthew: hey Levi, really enjoying your videos, especially the transcription videos, and I've been getting a lot out of them as I've recently decided to start transcribing. Best move you'll probably ever make. I've been learning stuff by ear for years, but was always too lazy to write it out. Well, writing it is the hard part and also the unnecessary part. The skill of just listening to a recording and being able to play it is really the goal. The only reason I write things out is I have a terrible memory. Right, so Django Reinhardt's solo on All of Me was the first transcription. Took a few hours today. Starting on Coltrane's Impressions next. As long as you're able to write these things out, as long as they're not too hard for you, keep going, man, keep going. And if you need help, if you want some one-to-one help, there's always my Patreon. Anyway, so when you're making transcriptions of other instruments, how do you determine which fingering choices to use when making a tab for a client? Regards, Matt. I think that's a really interesting question, Matt, because when you are transcribing another instrument, there is no wrong or right. There's no correct way to play something. It's all about what makes sense to you, for the most part. Sometimes the articulation, the way that something is articulated, will suggest that it's played in a certain way, and I try to take stuff like that into account. But then again, maybe the system in which I used to play guitar, maybe my methodology, the fingerings that I like to use, maybe that slightly alters the way that I hear things and the way that I go to automatically play things on the guitar. It's hard to demonstrate with any particular examples in mind because I don't really have any particular examples in mind. But if I talk about a technique, swing picking, what I do when I'm swing picking is the approach is to pick as many upbeats and pull off to as many downbeats as possible. So when I play something like that's a swing picking approach. Now that comes from listening to players like Schofield, who is a guitar player, but more specifically it comes from saxophone players, by listening to the way that saxophone players phrase their lines, and that's something that they do. When I play a phrase, earlier you heard me play this, right? Now from there I might play Now when I do something like that, it's hard for me to force in the swing picking, because I have to pick and I have to pick, pick on the upbeat, pull off. I could slide there. Again, upstroke, pulling off, and then ending on the third of the chord. Now, for that reason, I find that these stretchier players that use these more 3 or 4 note per string systems of playing the guitar, which I understand, and I've learnt all of this. I played like this for years. That's not naturally though how my hands fall on the guitar now. So when I need to transcribe a phrase that goes well, my playing style would be more So a phrase like that, I would notate it in a way that would make sense for me as a player, rather than going... Was that what I played? And there's actually a great example. So this phrase that I played here. That's a way that a saxophone player would phrase that. There's a slur in there. It's not. So if I play it with this stretch here, I have to pick two notes, so it doesn't fit in with the phrasing of things. So I think, to be more direct and to answer your question, listening to the articulation and the way things are phrased, and then imitating that on the guitar. If something is obviously played with a longer, more flowing legato feel, I'm not going to start a line in G and go... when I could play... or... yeah. However, you might want to play that in a more a method that's going to move across the neck, rather up the neck rather than across the neck. So yeah, it really depends on that sort of thing. I guess the other way to think about these things is, and this wasn't specific to what you asked, but because I am a guitar player and I've spent a lot of time learning the styles of other guitar players. You asked about other instruments, but so that actually doesn't answer your question at all. This is really a tangent. But when I go down that route of transcribing guitar players that I'm unfamiliar with, I'll just spend some time getting familiar with the way that players like that play. I had to transcribe the entire Michael Lee Firkins album semi-recently. And a big part of being able to do that well was getting to grips with things that Michael Lee Firkins is likely to do when he plays. He's got a bunch of things that he does quite often. And it's easier to hear him doing them if you know the way he's likely to play. And actually a great example of that would be Frank Gambale. I'm doing some Frank Gambale for someone at the moment, and unless you have an understanding of the way that Frank is likely to play his lines, you might finger them in quite a weird way. But that's all a stylistic understanding thing. So in summary, I think the important thing is to have a careful mind for things like articulation, and don't transcribe things in ways that are unplayable. I'm not saying that when I deliver a transcription to a client that I've played it, from start to finish at tempo, but I've definitely given it to them in a way where I can honestly say that's how I would play it. So there's the answer to that question. Thank you for the question, Matthew. I appreciate these questions. As I said, if you do enjoy this channel, do hit the subscribe button. Go to the comments box, leave me comments, more questions, thumbs ups, ratings. It all helps. Share these videos with your friends. And if you want to be a superstar, you can head on over to my Patreon, which there's a link to in the description. And as I say, you can get more access to more exclusive content with me, transcription stuff, lessons and more. Peace out, guys. Been my pleasure to serve you, and I will be back with another video on my YouTube soon. Peace out. Bye.